At 2 in the morning, my HOA president's luxury sedan met the steel posts I'd installed. Physics decided the winner. The chaos subsided. Diane's silver Mercedes was now intimately wrapped around one of my new, unyielding pillars. The airbag hung like a deflated balloon. The hood was a modern art sculpture of contorted metal, while my garage door behind the barrier stood perfectly safe, almost mocking in its perfection. Diane remained in the driver's seat, screaming, "You can't just build a fortress in a shared driveway!" I stood on my pavement in a bathrobe, cradling a steaming mug. It said, "I'm silently judging you." I was witnessing the exact moment the HOA chairperson realized the vacant spot she'd commandeered for half a year was now occupied by reinforced steel. "These weren't here yesterday," she shrieked. "They were," I replied, taking a slow sip. "Yesterday, you simply chose not to accelerate directly into them." I'm Ben. I work in data analytics. My life was predictable until my neighbor across the lot, Diane Carlisle, HOA chair, Mercedes owner, and a tyrant in tasteful knitwear, decided the space in front of my garage was her personal parking annex. She'd park her car squarely across my door, a perfect, infuriating barricade. When I politely asked her to stop, I received an official HOA violation for creating an eyesore by leaving my garage door open too frequently. At the next meeting, I brought it up. Diane offered a thin, condescending smile. "Then, sweetie, I'm never blocking you. I'm temporarily stationed. If it's an emergency, you can always ring my bell." I told her she'd made me miss a crucial client call last Tuesday. She hadn't answered her door. She waved a dismissive hand. "Planning is a shared responsibility. Your garage is a mess. Perhaps focus on that." The blockade continued. I documented it all. Time-stamped photos, her text replies ranging from "in a meeting" to "manage your time better." When I finally mentioned involving the city, she retaliated. She had the HOA paint a fake visitor parking rectangle directly across my garage and began issuing me fines for unsafe driveway navigation. The final straw was a notice suggesting I modify my personal schedule or utilize alternative parking in a complex where every home has one garage and 0 street spaces. That night, I sent one email to the entire board, the property manager, and the city's public safety office. The HOA chair is daily obstructing a fire access route, documented here. Diane replied to everyone within minutes. "This is a hysterical overreaction. I have discretion over this common area." A week later, City Inspector Cruz visited. He measured the gap. "Ma'am, this is a clear fire code violation. This lane must remain passable at all times. If there's an emergency, his vehicle is trapped." He handed her a printed copy of the code. For a normal person, that ends it. For Diane, it was a challenge. The next morning, Mercedes centered. Photo taken. She earned a formal citation from the city. Diane's response was an all-caps email blast to the community. "Due to one resident's antagonistic actions, we are revising all parking policies." My address was listed for reference. That was my turning point. I stopped asking and started building within the law. I hired a contractor. We checked the survey. As long as I stayed on my land, I could install anything. I asked about industrial-grade steel bollards. The guy nodded. "Your dirt, your rules." We pulled a permit with the city. Inspector Cruz approved it himself. The property management company confirmed in writing, "If it's on your plot and doesn't impede others, the HOA has no standing." 3 days later, the crew arrived. Diane charged out in slippers. "You need HOA approval for this." The foreman pointed to the property stakes. "Everything we're doing is on his side of this line, ma'am." By afternoon, the concrete had set. 3 jet-black, powder-coated steel bollards stood sentinel between my garage and the drive. They were spaced for my car to slip through, but made it physically impossible for anyone to park across the entrance. For 48 hours, Diane seethed. She fired off emails about hostile architecture and destroying community harmony. The board claimed I needed an architectural review. The property manager forwarded their prior approval. The city noted the posts actually improved fire lane compliance. She began to avoid me. Then, because the universe has a sense of poetic timing, I was awoken just after dawn by the unforgettable crunch of German engineering yielding to immutable steel. Diane had backed out, executed her habitual swing to nose into her spot, and let autopilot override awareness. Officer Miller arrived. He surveyed the scene, then the bollards. "He booby-trapped a driveway," she yelled. "This was a deliberate attack on my car." Miller tilted his hat. "Ma'am, a driver's license isn't a permit to block someone's property, let alone drive onto it." The insurance adjuster came. He examined the posts, the accordioned hood, the tire tracks leading straight onto my land. He noted the city permit. He reviewed the fire code citation against her. The finding? At-fault negligence. At the next HOA meeting, the entire neighborhood had heard. Diane, wearing a dramatic neck brace, called the meeting order. "I'd like to address the aggressive modifications some are making." Sarah from Unit 9 cut her off. "Is this about the post that saved Ben's garage from being T-boned?" Mike, a retired medic, spoke up. "Blocking a garage is a fire hazard. You endangered everyone, Diane." Sarah stood. "I motion to remove Diane Carlisle as chair for gross abuse of power and creating legal risk for this association." Hands rose around the room. The vote was unanimous. Just like that, the president who weaponized parking spaces was permanently parked herself. If you enjoyed this story of petty tyranny meeting a very permanent solution, do us a solid, hit that like button, and for more tales of ingenious comebacks, subscribe to Trending Tales Pulse. Sometimes the most polite response is a pillar of silent, unbreakable steel.